So you guys were I'm hearing a lot of you guys wanted a theme song short, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that, and when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So, it's shorter. There you go. CrazyCatLady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair educational for and entertainment purpose. It's like it's all they did. Well, those years ago. See? Now I don't want to do any more of it. That what makes the world go round. Hi everyone, Martha here. So we got another songwriter who sadly passed away, and that is Richard Sherman, who wrote a lot of the songs for a lot of Disney movies. He wrote for Mary Poppins, Bam Chitty Ching Bang Bang, Bread Noms and Boomsticks, pretty much all the Winnie the Pooh movies, Sword in the Stone, Parent Trap. So a lot of the songs, a lot of the movies that came out between like the 60s and 70s, and Aristocats. Not only Disney movies, they did Huck Finn, Charlotte's Web. So yeah, and also Tom Sawyer. So I had to watch one of his older movies that he had songs for, and I decided to watch Sword in the Stone. Since I did say earlier, not so long ago, probably would do a review about Sword in the Stone. So yeah, that's why I decided to do this. Now, Sword in the Stone was a book that is about King Arthur as a boy, and it was written by T.H. White, and Disney made it into a movie in 1963, okay. December 1963. They made, the movie begins with them, like, minstrel telling the story about the old sword and the old king that died. Now, they say London, but I don't think London and England were even words when this is supposed to take place. This is supposed to take place during the Dark Ages, back when they have a bunch of different kings being kings of all England, and a king died that had no heir, and so his old sword gets put in the stone, and whoever gets the sword out of the stone is the one who's supposed to be king. Now, and it's Arthur, who's like 12 when it happens, and everybody think he can do it, so Merlin helps out do it, who's a wizard, which really I don't believe that he was actually, it's a legend, so we don't know, because we found an old kingdom, because they found an old kingdom that could have been Camelot or the old kingdom that he ruled in, but nobody knows it's actually the one that Arthur ruled in. They never really found that much proof of him, but I think that Merlin was just mostly a guy who knew how to read, and back during those time periods, knowing how to read means that you are probably a wizard, since not everybody knew how to read, because not everybody had the materials to do it, because there were pages, knights and stuff like that, and lords and squires who were just trying to survive. Now, Arthur, during this time period, is a page who's training to be a squire by his foster dad, who is a lord of a castle that he has to take care of during this time period. And Merlin can see into the future and sees Arthur walking, trying to get an arrow that a wolf's trying to eat him, and the arrow is on top, like the tree right above his cottage in the middle of the woods. And he tries to reach for the arrow on the top of the tree. He falls through the roof of it and falls and sits down on a chair. And Merlin explains to him that he has been to the future, but he has brought some items from it, or made some things that he's seen. Like we see he has like models of airplanes, trains, and stuff like that. And he does have suitcases, so I think he can take items from the future and make stuff out what he's seen. And he names his pet owl Archimedes. If you guys know your history from around this time period, there was a archaeologist named Archimedes that did do talk about Greek stuff, but also discovered some of the planets and named them. So yeah. So it's pretty funny that he named his owl after them, which a lot of people think science and archaeologists are wizards themselves, and he happens to be a pet to a wizard in this movie. So I think they kind of did that on purpose. And he's always grumpy, and so these two are going to try to teach Arthur how to be teach him be his teacher for like schooling and stuff like that. So Arthur takes him back to his foster dad's castle, and his foster dad doesn't like him. He even calls him Marvin, not Merlin. And so since he doesn't like him, he puts Merlin inside of the worst part of the castle that rocks back and forth. When it rains, it can leak into it. And then we find out from one of the other people who actually live in London, comes and tells him, Sir Pernose, I think that's how you say it, comes and tells them that they're going to have a contest where they do have swords and what's that? Jousting. So he's decided to have Cade do the jousting and come a night, and they would have Arthur be the squire, and we have 3. So he has to go do chores and do dishes, which doing dishes back then would suck. You had to take out your dishes into the river and do it that way, since there were no. So every time the Merlin and Arthur go off on their own, he turns Arthur into another animal. First it's a fish, then a squirrel, then a bird, and each time he's trying to teach him a lesson. Like, how does this animal pretty much survive, like he does with the squirrel? Mostly, he also tries to teach him about gravity, and with the fish, he teaches him about instinct. And with, I think, fish, with the bird one, he asks them how to fly. The bird one gets brought up. Arthur gets punished for yelling at Sir Ector because Merlin decided to do the dishes himself by using his magic when they go and do the squirrel one, and he defends him. So he no longer he can no longer has the opportunity to go to London to be a squire, because he stand up to Sir Edgar. This is when, after Archimedes tries to teach him how to fly, they try to outrun a falcon, I think. A falcon or a hawk or an eagle, one of those 3 birds. A bigger bird tries to come and eat Arthur when he's flying, learn how to fly. So he ends up inside of Madame Mim's house, who is, I think, based off one of Arthur's villains. Let me see. Margos. I think she's based off of Margos, who ends up being the mother of the main villain in the actual myth. Because since they both have the start with the same letter M. Now, Madame M's not exactly in the movie that much. She's like in it for a couple, like she's in it for like a basically one scene, but mostly it's to show off for the author, the artist to show off that they can turn both these two in a bunch of different animals and have like a fight. Now, since she's not in the movie that much, I would only count her as the villain. I would count more Sir Edgar and Kay, the bad guys, since they're always in the way of Arthur's wanting to go and wanting to go off and like learn stuff, and they're standing in their way. But every single body wants him to go do something, and he doesn't know what to go with. Like Merlin wants him to go and learn to get education. So does Archimedes. Well, Sir Edgar wants him to be a squire. So it's kind of hard for him to pick which one he wants to do most. Which in that time period, him being an orphan, there's not much opportunity for him. He mostly goes with the Squire one, because I think that's the one that's like been stirred into his mind that he can only do. So when he finally gets the opportunity to do it after the off-character, screen off-character Hubs gets sick, he's like they allow him to be Squire. And he goes and tells Merlin. Instead of being happy for him, Merlin gets mad at him for not telling him, no, I thought you were going to be mount something and stuff like that. And he goes and flies off to Bermuda after they had the fight. That he doesn't know about Arthur tells me you don't know what's going on today, since he's always focused on what's in the future, basically. And so we don't see Merlin during the whole entire part where he takes the sword and the stone out. I think they have him leave so he can learn how to stand up to all those adults. And Merlin's not there to stick up for him. He's able to have all those adults see him take the sword out of the stone, and they have to see it happen with no wizard around. That way they can see it. But Merlin doesn't come back until after the Sword in the Stone gets told, and he gets picked to be king. Because he tells Kay that he left his sword at the end, and he goes back to get it, and he sees the sword in the church, near the church, and he lifts it. Nobody's there, and everybody sees him lift it after it's Kay's turn. And he comes and makes a scene saying that this is Kay's sword, but Sir Edgar realizes that it's Sword in the Stone by reading the poem that's on there, that this whoever fills out this sword shall be the King of England. So yeah. And then we hear a knight says, "Somebody's pulled the sword and the stone." And they go take it back to where they found it, and a lot of the knights try to lift it after they put it back inside there, because Kate thinks like he'd be able to lift it because it's already been pulled, but he's not able to. And Sir Edgar tries to help him. So some of the other knights try to pull it out, and the knight that's in black outfit says, "Hey, that's not fair!" And Sir Pernos, I think his name is, tells him, "But I say we get the boy a chance," and that's what I said. "They give the boy a chance." And that's what they end up doing, and then they all see him, and then Edgar and Kay realize what they've been doing to him is wrong, and they bow down to him, and that's a way you can say that's a way of both of them to redeem themselves. So, yeah. And this is when Merlin comes up and tries to tell him that you're supposed to be king. That's what I saw, and so I'll train you. And that's when the movie ends with him being king. But so yeah, I think it's fine. A movie. It's a good movie for kids. Good for movies for anybody to enjoy. So, like I said, this movie count November 25th, 1969. The weird thing is that it actually has three different kids who has played Arthur. Ricky Schillerson was supposed to be the actual king of actually supposed to play Arthur, but he was going through puberty during this time period. So Wolfgang Waterman had his two sons, Richard Reitherman and Robert Reitherman, take over while Ricky was going through puberty. And Cal Schusen plays Merlin. Julius Matthew plays Archimedes. Sebastian Couto plays Sir Edgar, and Norman Adler plays Kay. The guy who plays Edgar's the same exact person who ends up playing Bagheera in Jungle Book. And Wolfgang Weatherman, who was one of the Nine Old Men, and David Hand, and Clinton, Clyde Jewel Lee are the three directors. Now let's see if this originally this made money during its first time it was released. Not the budget was 3,000 million. Now I don't know if this is the actual box office, but it says 2,000 million. But let me see if that one was. So originally it made $4.75 million at the box office during its first run. It did re-release in 1962 and 1983. So yeah, eventually, if it didn't get it, then they got. But I think it did. Looks like it did make its money back. And back then, they really didn't do advertising that much, besides posters. And they did have like advertisements, but I'm guessing like commercials, but not that much as they do now. So yeah. So hope you guys. I'll probably give this one like a 8 out of 10. So I'll see you guys later. Like, favorite, and subscribe. That remembers what makes the world go round. Bye.